My dear brothers and sisters, we thank our God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the God who is love, for gathering us as a family of faith.
Choosing a president is a big deal, but picking a pope, that's a whole different level. It's a decision that could change the future of the Catholic Church. Right now, everyone's talking about one name, Cardinal Luis Tagle. But here's where things get interesting. There are whispers that this time the process might not go as expected. Could there be a surprise waiting for Catholics everywhere? The theme for this year is meant to be a narrative of hope, and it reflects the faith journey that Pope Francis wants the youth to embark on. And why is Tagle the focus of so much attention? Has the decision already been made in secret? Let's reveal the truth together. Bridging tradition and change, the Catholic Church is facing one of its most significant challenges in centuries. Standing at a delicate crossroads between preserving centuries-old traditions and embracing necessary modernization, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, a prominent figure from the Philippines, has emerged as a powerful symbol of this internal struggle. His rise within the Vatican, supported reportedly by Pope Francis, reflects the aspirations of reformers who believe the Church must evolve to remain relevant in a rapidly changing world. However, his influence also intensifies fears among traditionalists who worry about losing the essence of Catholicism's historical teachings. The Catholic Church has long been known as a bastion of stability, holding firm to its doctrines while the world around it has undergone constant transformation. For centuries, this unyielding adherence to tradition was seen as a source of strength, providing a moral anchor for its followers. However, the modern era has brought challenges that require a more adaptive approach. Cardinal Tagle's leadership style, with its focus on social justice, inclusivity, and compassion, resonates with many Catholics who feel alienated from a church they perceive as outdated. His approach to leadership emphasizes humility and service, reflecting a desire to connect with people on a deeply human level. Yet, within the walls of the Vatican, this vision is not universally embraced. Behind closed doors, a quiet but fierce struggle brews between those who support Tagle's vision of reform and those who cling tightly to the Church's traditional identity. For the traditionalists, any significant shift toward modernity risks undermining the core principles that have sustained Catholicism for centuries. They view Tagle's progressive stance as a potential threat, fearing that a focus on social issues could dilute the Church's spiritual mission. Tagle's ascent to prominence has not been an accident. Pope Francis, whose papacy has been marked by a commitment to reform, has placed significant trust in him. Under Francis's leadership, the Church has made strides toward addressing issues such as financial corruption and the clergy abuse crisis. These reforms, while widely praised, have also faced resistance from within the Church, where conservative factions view them as a departure from established norms. Tagle, as a close ally of Pope Francis, carries the weight of these reforms on his shoulders, positioning him as a potential successor to the papacy. As the Church faces declining membership in traditionally strong regions like Europe and North America, its growth in areas like Asia, Africa, and Latin America offers both hope and complexity. Cardinal Tagle's background as an Asian leader places him in a unique position to bridge these shifting dynamics. He understands the struggles of marginalized communities and has consistently advocated for greater representation of the global South within the Church. However, this perspective also sets him apart from the European traditionalists who still hold significant power within the Vatican. The tension between reformers and traditionalists is not just an internal Vatican matter. It mirrors broader societal debates about the role of faith in an increasingly secular world. At this time, the need for reform cannot be ignored. The Church's handling of past scandals, particularly the clergy abuse crisis, has left deep scars, leading many to demand greater accountability and transparency. Pope Francis's efforts to address these issues have been widely recognized, but they also highlight the enormity of the task ahead. Cardinal Tagle, with his emphasis on humility and openness, is seen by many as the right leader to continue this work. His ability to connect with people from diverse backgrounds, particularly in growing Catholic communities, has made him a symbol of hope for those who believe the Church must evolve to survive. The next phase of the Church's history will be defined by its ability to navigate these tensions. Cardinal Tagle's leadership represents both an opportunity and a risk. If he can strike the right balance between tradition and modernity, his papacy could mark a transformative moment for the Church. However, if these divisions prove insurmountable, the Church risks further fragmentation, with potentially far-reaching consequences for its role in the world. Now, as the Church grapples with its internal divisions and evolving identity, Cardinal Tagle's unique position as a voice from the global South offers both hope and challenge in shaping the future of Catholicism. Shaping the Catholic Church's global mission from Asia. Born in Manila, Philippines, in 1957, Tagle entered the seminary early, showing an eagerness to serve God and his community. He was ordained a priest in 1982, and after earning a doctorate in theology, his pastoral approach and academic acumen set him apart. His work as a theologian and educator allowed him to engage with deep philosophical and doctrinal issues while maintaining a profound connection to the pastoral needs of his people. This combination of intellectual rigor and pastoral empathy became one of Tagle's defining traits as he ascended within the church's leadership ranks. As the Archbishop of Manila, Tagle's leadership was marked by a keen focus on the needs of the poor and marginalized. The Philippines, a nation with a deeply ingrained Catholic culture, faces numerous social challenges, from poverty and natural disasters to political instability. Tagle's response to these issues was not just one of advocacy, but one of active engagement. His homilies and public speeches often emphasized the importance of a church that was truly with the people, not detached from the struggles they face daily. His insistence on social justice and the dignity of the human person resonated deeply with the growing Catholic population in the global South. Where many nations are grappling with similar issues of inequality and poverty, Tagle's influence in the Vatican is not just limited to his role as the Archbishop of Manila. In 2011, Pope Benedict appointed him as a cardinal, and in 2014, Pope Francis brought him into the inner circles of the Vatican by appointing him prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples. This position, which oversaw the Church's missionary activity, places Tagle in a central role within the global Church, allowing him to shape the direction of evangelization efforts in the global South. Tagle's work in the Vatican has been instrumental in bringing the realities of the global South into the decision-making processes of the Church. The Catholic Church is no longer primarily a European institution, as the center of its faith has shifted to the global South, where the Catholic population is booming. In countries like Brazil, Mexico, and the Philippines, the Church is experiencing unprecedented growth. Tagle's voice within the Vatican speaks to this shift, urging a church that is more attuned to the realities of the developing world. One of the unique aspects of Tagle's leadership is his ability to offer a fresh perspective on evangelization and pastoral care. Unlike many of his counterparts in the Vatican, who may be more accustomed to the Church's traditional roles in the West, Tagle has witnessed firsthand the explosive growth of Catholicism in Asia and other parts of the global South. This growth is not simply in terms of numbers but in the vitality of the faith, the dynamism of the communities, and the ways in which the Church must engage with rapidly changing cultural and socio-political landscapes. Tagle's insights into the role of the Church in Asia and the global South are informed by his own lived experience in the Philippines. The Philippines, as a majority Catholic nation, offers a unique vantage point on how the faith has taken root in a predominantly Asian context. Unlike many other Asian countries where Catholicism is a minority faith, the Philippines is a majority Catholic nation that balances both indigenous practices and Western religious traditions. This hybridization of faith has made the Philippines an interesting model for the Church's mission in Asia. Moreover, Tagle's role in the Vatican allows him to bring attention to the challenges faced by Catholics in the global South, including issues such as religious persecution, the rise of secularism, and the increasing influence of new religious movements. His advocacy for the Church's role in fostering human dignity, justice, and peace in these contexts has provided a much-needed voice for the Church's presence in parts of the world that are often neglected by the Western-centric views that dominate much of the Vatican's discussions. His influence in the Vatican is not simply symbolic. It is an active force that shapes the future direction of the Church. His presence at key meetings and discussions has brought to the forefront issues that are often sidelined in the West, urging the Church to adopt a more inclusive and global perspective in its work. But as Pope Francis's health declines, will the Catholic Church be ready for the seismic shift in leadership, and who will rise to guide its future? Pope Francis's health struggles have been well documented, with reports about his frequent hospital visits and visible difficulty in moving due to persistent knee pain. His reliance on a wheelchair and his difficulty in participating in some public engagements have highlighted the realities of his aging body. This is not the first time a pope has faced health concerns, but it is the first time in recent history that a pontiff has experienced such public scrutiny regarding their health. Pope Francis has admitted that his physical limitations have sometimes affected his ability to carry out his duties as vigorously as he would like. As the leader of more than 1 billion Catholics worldwide, the question of how the Church handles these limitations, both in the immediate and long term, has become a focal point. The health of a pope is an issue that extends beyond personal concern. It has profound implications for the direction and stability of the Church. The papacy is not simply a religious office. It is also a symbol of continuity, unity, and guidance for the global Catholic community. His health struggles, however, force the Vatican to confront an uncomfortable reality. There will come a time when he will no longer be able to fulfill his duties, either temporarily or permanently. Historically, The question of papal succession has been handled discreetly, with little public discussion until the moment arises. However, Pope Francis's health issues have forced an early examination of what comes next. In the past, popes have served until their death, with the Church taking action only when absolutely necessary. Yet, given the complexities of modern media and the interconnectedness of the global Catholic community, the idea of a papacy that is not fully functioning poses new challenges. The Vatican, traditionally a bastion of discretion, has had to confront the idea of succession earlier than expected, creating a sense of urgency around the future of the papacy. The discussion around Pope Francis's successor is not just about finding a leader who can manage the Church's internal matters. It's also about ensuring that the global voice of Catholicism remains relevant and responsive to the diverse needs of the faithful. The rapid growth of Catholicism has made it clear that the Church is increasingly shaped by the concerns, cultures, and aspirations of the global South. This transformation of the Catholic world has led many to believe that the next pope should come from these regions rather than from the traditional European power centers of the Church. What sets Tagle apart from other potential papal contenders is his ability to bridge the traditional and modern aspects of Catholicism. He is deeply rooted in the Church's rich theological and pastoral traditions, but he also understands the need for reform and adaptation in the modern world. Tagle has spoken out on issues ranging from poverty and inequality to climate change, and the role of women in the Church, advocating for a more inclusive and globally minded vision. His international experience, including his work with the Vatican's missionary efforts and his leadership within the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, gives him the global perspective that is essential for leading the Church into the future. As the world becomes increasingly secular and divided, the Church's role as a moral and spiritual guide is being tested. The next pope will face the daunting task of navigating a complex landscape where issues of social justice, climate change, and interfaith dialogue are central to the Church's mission. Cardinal Tagle's background suggests that he is uniquely equipped to tackle these challenges, and his leadership could mark a new chapter in the Church's history, one that reflects the changing realities of the world while staying true to its core mission. As Pope Francis's health brings succession into sharp focus, public reactions to Cardinal Tagle's potential papacy reveal a Church divided. Will his leadership bridge the gaps or deepen the divides within a global Catholic community? Divisive reactions to a global leader rise. Cardinal Luis Tagle has become one of the most well-known and discussed figures in the Catholic Church, particularly as rumors swirl around his potential to become the next pope. Reactions to Tagle's leadership, both from within the Church and from the wider public, are highly polarized. Supporters praise his compassionate and progressive approach, while critics raise concerns about the direction he could take the Church. Public opinions are divided, and understanding these reactions reveals the complexity of his potential papacy. Supporters of Tagle often highlight his deep empathy and relatable leadership style. His humble demeanor and ability to connect with people from all walks of life have made him a favorite among many Catholics, particularly in the global South. His work in the Philippines, where he is widely revered as a moral and spiritual leader, has earned him admiration from people who see him as a symbol of hope and a voice for the marginalized. Tagle's focus on inclusivity and his calls for greater involvement of women in the Church's leadership have resonated deeply with those who believe the Church should adapt to modern times. Many in the Catholic community, especially younger generations, see him as someone who could bring a fresh perspective to the papacy and help revitalize the Church's mission to serve the world. However, not all reactions to Cardinal Tagle are positive. Some members of the Catholic Church, particularly those from more conservative or traditional circles, express concerns about his approach to leadership. Tagle's advocacy for women's inclusion in the Church, particularly in leadership positions, has been a point of contention for many. While some see this as a progressive step, others worry that it could undermine the traditional structure of the Church, which has always been male-dominated. This division has led to mixed reactions, particularly among those who view the Church's hierarchy as sacred and unchangeable. For these individuals, Tagle's stance on gender equality is seen as a challenge to centuries-old traditions that should not be altered. While many applaud his focus on the poor, others worry that his views could be seen as too left-leaning, particularly in Western countries where political conservatism remains strong within parts of the Church. Some fear that his views on economic justice might alienate wealthy Catholics, particularly in Europe and North America, who may feel uncomfortable with a pope who pushes for more progressive economic policies. There are also concerns that Tagle's calls for systemic change might push the Church into areas of political activism, which some Catholics see as a departure from the Church's spiritual mission. Cardinal Tagle's stance on other controversial issues, such as same-gender marriage and abortion, has been closely watched. While Tagle has not openly supported these causes, his open-minded approach to modern challenges leads some to speculate about where he might stand on such issues. Some worry that as Pope, he could soften the Church's stance on these topics, which would be deeply unsettling for many traditional Catholics who hold conservative views on matters of ethics. These concerns have led to a growing divide between those who see him as a figure of renewal and those who view his potential papacy as a threat to the Church's teachings. Further complicating the public's reaction to Tagle is his international background. As a Filipino, his rise to the papacy would mark a significant shift in the geographical balance of the Church, which has historically been dominated by European leaders. While some people in the global South view his potential papacy as a positive change reflecting the growing influence of Catholicism in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, others feel that a pope from the global South may not fully represent the concerns of Catholics in Western countries. Some traditionalists in Europe and North America fear that Tagle's leadership might prioritize issues affecting the global South, such as poverty and climate change, over issues that are more pressing in the West. This potential shift in focus has made his rise to the papacy a contentious issue among some Catholics who worry about the future direction of the Church. As we wrap up, Cardinal Luis Tagle stands as a figure of hope and challenge, embodying the balance between tradition and modernity. His leadership could shape the Catholic Church's future, addressing deep divides and inspiring change. But what do you think? Should the Church embrace reform under leaders like Tagle or hold firmly to its traditions? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more insightful discussions. Together, let's explore these pivotal moments in history and their impact on our world.